Thank you, EJ Cards, for your ongoing support of our podcast. And Sunday, March the 24th, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m, Shop 3, 2 to 4 Whitehorse Road, EJ Cards March Madness Trade Day. Get in there, check it out. Designated Kids Trading Zone that is staff supervised. Scarlet and Violet, Temporal Forces, new set release. Expected release date is the 22nd of March on that. The return of Carson's Pokemon Madness box. Free drinks and snacks all day. Rob, Jules, they are very gracious hosts. Come down and check out some free drinks on the boys. Mega NBA mystery boxes, probably packed up by Rimp. Discounted singles. Sometimes it's 10%, sometimes it's 20%. They'll let you know on the day. EJ Sports Breaks on Facebook, on Instagram, at ejcards.au. Check out the guys. Also, do not forget, go to the You Can't Comp This Facebook page. Click on the featured posts. You will find our promotion code. Anytime that you spend $50 at www.ejcards.com.au, they will give you free express shipping. Usual T's and C's apply. And as always, thank you, EJ Cards, for your ongoing support.
Welcome everybody to episode 132 of the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. We're your hosts, Adam, Amy, and Russell Gibson. It's a lot happening in the league at the moment. Is that a good place to sort of start?
We just potted, feels like 3 days ago, and I think I always worry it's very short interval. We're not going to have enough to talk about, and then we've got a fuller run sheet than we had on Sunday. So
the docket is chockers.
Yeah, there's always something happening, and whether it's people making controversy in posts, companies buying out other companies, players doing crazy stuff, there's always something to talk about. So I think
we're post All-Star now. Stuff's starting to get real. We're talking about the playoffs are just around the corner. Yeah,
I feel like All-Star is just a blip on my radar that just went by, and
it's a marker for when the season gets interesting.
But it sort of went away with a whimper, or not even a whimper.
Oh, if they don't fix it next year, no one's going to put it in their calendar. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I think we're at the interesting end of the season, and not only in the actual season itself. I mean, I'm talking product releases. Like last episode, we're like, it's all about Prizm, still about Prizm.
I think we can still talk a bit more about Prizm. I think that's
Prizm is in the air. Yeah.
Court Kings did drop in the last week though, and that looks pretty good. But I still think, at the end of the day, I think when we look back at this year, I think Prizm is going to be the product that matters the most. So we give that a bit more runtime.
It's still the flagship product, I guess.
I think flagship, but also just for the fact he's not signing anything.
Yeah, that's true.
So just really quickly segueing before
I haven't even introduced the show and we're segueing.
Get into the run sheet. One of the lads I go to the gym with is a bit of a sports nut.
Yep.
So I was saying they need $25 million to fix the All-Star game, and then it'll happen. He thinks $50 million is the number, and that you could easily raise $50 million through some type of sponsorship.
I'm in agreement. I think money talks, and $50 million will incentivize some players to actually play some defense.
Yeah, that's right. Like $50 million between 12 dudes, you can't tell me that they wouldn't turn up and play.
I have a theory that Nikola Jokic doesn't actually care. Or Luka Doncic, for that matter. He was an absolute beast in the regular, like straight out of. Did Jokic have like a triple double with 100% from the field?
Do you mean in the last 5 regular season games, or do you mean in the All-Star game?
Post All-Star game, like he did nothing in the All-Star game. He was flopping around, and him and Luka just
playing horse.
Yeah, like they, but poorly. Like they didn't care, and they didn't play defense. They didn't play offense. They just didn't care.
Yeah.
But then come the regular season, both of them have been beasts.
Yeah. All right. Should we get to it?
Yeah, let's get to the run sheet before we get segued outside of our segues.
That's okay. We only segued for 3 minutes. That's fine.
It's good. It's okay.
That's nothing.
Yeah. We're back on track.
All right. PSA have bought SGC. Where are you at with this? Is it good, bad?
It's not as big a change, I guess, as it's not like they've bought something that makes up 30% of the market share. They have 78% of the market. They bought like one of the next people in line. So now they have 85%. Cool. Eventually they'll have 90. It's a monopoly already. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. The fact of it, if it's problematic, it's already been problematic, if that makes sense.
Do you mean in terms of them having a market share?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, yeah.
The market share side of it, I think, is already, if it's problematic, if it was problematic at 78%, buying SGC is definitely not the thing that's going to move it into being problematic.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
So I'm going to start with Nat Turner. So he made this very, let's call it a flippant comment. And let's say in a cup half full, it's flippant, and cup half empty, it's arrogant, that he got bored and then he bought SGC. And I think for people of my generation, the lyrical comparison to that is when Ice Cube is saying he's like gets bored and like drops a triple double, right? Like I think that's the same. I feel like he's tapping into some Ice Cube there.
Yeah.
So my issue with that is that he's so powerful in this league or in this working space that he can literally just get bored and then buy out his, next biggest competitor. And, I think really for me, the analogy here, or like the thought that's coming to my head is this the way that the hobby's going? So there's going to be someone who monopolizes grading. There's going to be somebody who monopolizes card production, like in being Fanatics. And then we've got someone who's going to be monopolizing the break space. So whether that's going to be Backyard Breaks or whether it's going to be Fanatics Live or whether it's going to be, both of those two together. And so you can argue in a way already eBay has the monopoly on like the secondary market sales space. Mm-hmm. And then you could say, well, ComC has the monopoly of that sort of like singles, loose singles and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
The real question is that a good thing for the hobby or is it a bad thing for a hobby? For me, I think competition is good because it really forces people to be innovative and it also forces, some level of transparency. And I think also too, it sort of avoids malaise. And that's the big thing. So if PSA now owns 90% of the market or, higher than 90%, who's the watchdog that's going to regulate them and, push them to, make sure that things are transparent and make sure that they do, rectify mistakes, I suppose.
Yeah.
I probably don't like that part of it. Now, in saying that if those companies now work together collaboratively, so for example, we spoke about this the other day, Backyard Breaks is breaking at headquarters of PSA. Mm-hmm. They're getting their cards out. In 30 minutes, they're walking it back. It's a PSA 10. So if there's some type of collaboration between Backyard Breaks, Fanatics, and PSA, like that, that makes like common sense. That to me kind of, I get that. But I suppose that's for me is probably the best thing I can think about this. And most of it in my head is I'm just being probably a little bit pessimistic at this stage.
Yeah.
I will say this though, like my other thought about this is, why didn't they buy out BGS? So maybe in their head and their metrics, actually SGC is now, well and truly overtaken that. And we've spoken about
as
this,
a competitor.
Yeah. And in terms of the slow death of BGS, and we've talked about that, more than once. So I think this for me is like another hospital admission for the sick and lowly BGS.
They're not looking great, are they? It's interesting. And I know I'm everything's interesting to me at the moment. Do you think that there's going to be, if the narrative changes with grading companies and looking at options, and is there a point where PSA diversify the grading market again and all of the little properties they own, they start bringing up different branded grading companies? It's like everything's made by the Coca-Cola company, but you can get their range of drinks is different. So different grading companies, but it's all produced by the Coca-Cola company.
And that's probably something that you've spoken about in the past is about regulation, isn't it? So if that is the case, that PSA owns them all and then regulates them all and makes sure that they do grade to a certain quality. Again, I'm trying to look at this from the cup half full perspective. That would be a really good thing. This is something that I've said before, and I'm going to double down on this. I really do think that these smaller grading companies that are coming out, their highest potential is that they would be bought out by a bigger company. So whether it was going to be BGS or PSA. So, I think for me, that's like the other, really interesting part here. I sort of assumed that SGC was too big to be bought out. And I thought maybe someone like Forensic might get bought out, or maybe someone like HGA might get bought out, or, maybe you look at one of the Aussie guys and say, okay, I don't even know if Platinum's around anymore. I haven't seen the advertisements for a really long time, but let's just throw that name out into the ring. Hypothetically, this is not factual by any means. Now they've got a grading station in Australia and they can then regulate that, they can put their PSA labels on them and train up the guys to do that. You know, I sort of see like that being as a benefit, but
I'm checking to see if Platinum is still around.
look, I think if I was a young entrepreneur and I was trying to break into the grading field, that's what I'd be doing. I'd be trying to be basically establish a company and be bought out by PSA. So all I can say is, by the way, congratulations to SGC, because I think it's okay to talk about this. It's okay to say they've made some money out of this and, you know, they've done well. Like they've probably set their families up for, you know, 1, 2, 3 generations, you know, so
yeah,
I think that's a fantastic thing. So look, that's my final thought on that. I'm not going to go on this too much longer.
No. Look, I think it's I don't know. I think you're right about regulation, and I think the PSA is very well is the most reputable grader in the hobby. But with all that power, is the temptation to reduce your standards? Does that creep in somewhere? And I'd like to hope not.
I think if their standards were going to be decreased, I think we would have already seen it. And I think, you know, we already hear about people complaining, but I've sent some absolute lemons off that have come back terrible. And is that PSA's fault that I sent off lemons? Absolutely not. And then I've sort of heard people who do bulk subs anecdotally say 99.9% of the time they look at the cards and the grade looks right to them too. And they, after a period of time, if you're subbing thousands and thousands of cards, they relatively know what's what, right?
Yeah.
You know, so look, I'm sure all grading companies get it wrong at some point, but
yeah. But well, look, 85% is not a small portion of the market. They already had over 75, so look, it's
ridiculous. It honestly is.
Yeah. Look, and I think we all base our comparisons on PSA grades, and there's a reason we do that. So I still think there is a place because of the quality of BGS, but you're right. I think it's a struggle at the moment to put any real stock in BGS. I think PSA
if these guys close up shop, I won't be shocked. If BGS closes up shop now, I would not be shocked at all. Like, I almost could imagine them saying, like, "What's the point now?"
Yeah, it'd be probably more financially viable for them to partner with PSA and become part of the monopoly.
Yeah, definitely.
Because there are people that like the labels, the actual presentation of the cards. So if PSA offers that as part of their they regulate all of the grading services.
Yeah,
and that could create different prices, different services, etc. Could be you're right. Let's try and keep a glass half full approach at this stage. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of very shocked responses, but we will see how it all unfolds.
Alrighty, the next 2 things in the run sheet are, I'm not going to lie to you, they're all about Russell. So Pokachevsky from the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is someone that I've been absolutely just drooling over the last couple of years. There's just some people that I just love this sort of combination of, like, this guy just looks freakish in a good way, you know, to begin with. And I love his skill set where he can just kind of do a little bit of everything. And I also find him a little bit underwhelming, but then he will surprise you and just do all sorts of crazy stuff. So now look, he's still only 22 years of age and he's been cut. And I don't think this is the first time a good young prospect is going to be cut from OKC. So for me, this is just like the beginning of, you know, things to come. The really interesting / conspiracy theory, as you know, I love a conspiracy theory. So the Thunder and Hornets did a trade. And I wonder if they wanted Pokachevsky put into the deal, but they couldn't get him. And part of the deal was the Thunder would cut him and then they could pick him up. Nothing to support this other than my conspiracy theory.
That's a great conspiracy theory. I like it.
It's got some legs, I say.
I reckon you might be onto something.
Look,
so is he being picked up? Is he being picked up by the Hornets? Has he?
So he's officially been picked up. I couldn't find anything about contract length or anything like that, but he's going to be signing with them. So he's not coming off waivers. He'll actually have a free agent contract with them.
Nice.
He hasn't appeared in any games. I couldn't find anything on Basketball Reference to say that he's played basically since the middle of February. So I can't wait to see him suit up. I think he's going to be awesome in that team. And, you know, again, this is like my other sort of like Russell theory. It's all about opportunity in this league. So if this guy comes back and averages, say, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, I won't be shocked at all by this. I love his skill set. It's super varied and and interesting. So
yeah, I'm glad. Hopefully, Poku gets a lifeline. And did you know, just a quick random fact, that the Charlotte Hornets have become the best defense in the league over the last 5 games or 6 games since the All-Star break or whatever it was. So since the trade deadline. Random fact I read on the internet that they've had the best defense.
So I wouldn't deny that fact, but what I would say about the I've actually watched more Hornets than I should be admitting to after that trade. I would say that's a very small sample size, and I probably suspect that their defensive prowess just might be
energy of new guys getting together.
Yeah, but just also improve just on a small sample size, right? So I think as you multiply
6
that
games,
out, it'll
They've
get
gone
worse.
5-1.
Well, that's what I was going to say, but I think offensively is where they're also going to be giving teams a bit of a problem at the start because there's no scouting report on these combinations that's going out, right?
True.
So essentially teams are playing against them blind. Like they don't know where the covers or where to send the coverage and stuff.
I was about to get stuck into the Hornets and go, even their tanking is poor if they've gone 5-1 recently.
No, but the really funny thing with teams like this that essentially are egalitarian, where everyone's having equal opportunities, actually that sometimes is very difficult to guard. And one of my favorite all-time teams is the Orlando Magic team that had Matt Harpring, Bo Outlaw, Darryl Armstrong. They had a couple of other guys, like Michael Doliak was there, and that was before like T-Mac went and Grant Hill.
Yeah.
And they were just Doc coached them. I'm pretty sure they made the playoffs, and they were just good across the board, but not great. This Hornets team, I can't compare them, but there's some comparisons there, So
yeah.
All right. Now this next one, I'm just totally frothing over. Okay, so and this is the best and the worst about Twitter. So Twitter becomes an echo chamber, and I've just entered into my own echo chamber. I'm fully aware of this, but I don't care. I'm still frothing. Herb Jones, catch and shoot threes, 21-22, 35% at 2.1 attempts per game. 22-23, 33% on 2.5 attempts. 23-24, 42, nearly 43% at 3.4 attempts. So essentially that's now elite three-point shooting. We already know he's an all-defense player, so put those two together, you've got your 3 and D.
3 and D.
Now, this is where it gets super interesting. So this is from at NBA University. If you do not follow these guys, do yourself a favor. It's fun, factual information, and it's genuinely they use advanced stats, but they explain it for people like me that don't understand advanced stats, so it's very good. Herb Jones has a 78.2% effective field goal percentage on catch and shoot field goal attempts over the last 15 games, turning himself into a guy you can't leave open anymore. Massive stride for his development as a 3 and D star role player. So that's sort of just reinforcing the numbers we just looked at. And then the other thing that really came into my head in this last week, so the Pelicans have been suspension riddled, injury riddled, and he's played point guard for them and starting point guard, and he played really well. So turns out that when he was in high school and even a pinch in college, he played point guard.
Yeah.
So I was already high on this kid, so now I'm just absolutely frothing. Now, for me, this is like the other really interesting part, right? So then you go on to 130 point. So a silver PSA 9 sold for 99 cents. A raw sold for $2.50. A select autograph sold for $7.20 USD. A silver sold for $1. Another silver sold for 99 cents. Like it just goes on and on like this. An optic silver rookie sold for $0.01. I'm
opportunity much?
I honestly think
I keep looking at the standings and seeing New Orleans in like 5th or 6th and I'm just like, oh my God. Like, so how did they get there? What are they doing? I'm not paying any attention to New Orleans. No offense to the Pelicans, but
no, that's totally fine. But so where I'm going with this is not only do I think this could be a quick flip, I also think this could be a really good long-term hold because so look, maybe this is a good example, maybe this is a bad one, but I was thinking about this also during the week. Who is going to be the next Tyrese Halliburton? That we knew he was good. Kind of all the signs were there, but we were distracted by De'Aaron Fox. We were distracted by LaMelo Ball. We were distracted by Zion and Ja.
Yeah.
Actually, it turns out from that crop, Halliburton is heads and shoulders above everybody, right?
Yeah.
And now his hobby value's caught up with it. So I suppose what I'm trying to pitch here is
there a
this guy's
upwards?
not going to be Tyrese Halliburton, right? But is he going to be the next guy that's going to step up and sort of fill that hobby space? Look,
Yeah. Is there potential for a Halliburton level spike, I guess? Is that the
maybe not Halliburton. I need to temper my things here.
Jordan Poole, Cam Thomas?
Cam Thomas is probably better. But I would say this is like, I think more sustainable than Cam
Mac
Thomas
McClung.
because Cam Thomas is like essentially very, very one-dimensional.
One-dimensional,
but
yeah.
Like what I'm pitching here is now like elite defense, elite shooting. That's done. So he's ticked off 2 boxes. So the question is, can he play make? And well, yeah, he did, and he actually did it pretty well for a couple of games. So look, I think for $1, just don't drink a coffee for 1 or 2 days. Buy a couple of silvers and see where it goes. Honestly, like
you can't go wrong. Like, well, yeah,
you could.
You'd
But then
like,
just sell them back to me.
Just buy Jordan Pools for $1,000 each, and
come on, mate.
That's a few coffees.
There's still some traumatized people out there.
There are a few.
Alrighty, I think we should do an advertisement break. Why don't we do that? So I would like to do our first advertisement for our friends at Slambox. So now this is a paid advertisement, but I would also just like to preface this with that I paid full retail for these, and there's no reason to think that David gave me loaded boxes. So, but I think the reason why I wanted to do this segment is because this is their retail product. So David does a whole bunch of different products, but one of them that he does is a retail product. It was $35. It was 1 card. I bought 2, and the first packet I got was a Cade Cunningham number to 10, a prismatic. It's not a rookie. It's an insert. Like, yes, I know all of that, but at the same time too, I thought that was a very thoughtful card. The second one I got was a Devin Booker Studio from 16-17, and it was a game-worn material. In terms of the patch size, I would call it a very generous but not a large patch. So look, I was happy. I was very happy with both of those. The other thing that he did recently was he's done a couple of these breaks, so don't quote me on all of the numbers, but he did basically a National Treasures repack. The main hit out of that was a Jaden Ivey RPA, and just the value across the spots and the boxes was excellent. And then he did one for 1 and 1 too. And look, I can't actually remember the hits. I didn't write notes, but the same thing. The buy-in was very good, and I would say his customers left from that, even if they didn't hit, I think they left pretty happy. So
nice.
Thank you, Slambox, for your support. We really appreciate it. We hope this is something that's going to be ongoing. And David, just keep up the great work with your products, mate. You're doing a really good job. So, Now, this is an unpaid advertisement, so this is not an advertisement, but this is something that I've had people DMing me about this week, so I want to talk about this. So go to David Adams, go to the clearance section and just have a browse through it. With their clearance section, it's essentially first in, first serve. Yeah. But here's a couple of things that I found, which I thought were interesting. 22-23, so we're talking Banchero year, Chronicles draft picks blasters. So it's not the best product. You might argue it's not the best draft year. $8.81 USD for a blaster. I think that's pretty fun.
That is actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's huge fun.
Like, pretty cool. Another one that I found, this is not pocket change. This was 127 USD, but it's the lucky packet. So the lucky packets is literally a Chinese lucky packet. It comes in like red and it's got the ends put onto it. And then you've got 2 cards in there. They're both numbered to 8, 8 being the lucky number. So if you're someone that doesn't like a whole bunch of base and you just want a couple of low numbered cards, that's your ticket there. Look, I don't know what these were retailing for previously, but I want to go out on a limb and say around the $400 to $500 mark. They were not cheap. Spectra 22-23 Asia box for $64 USD. I think that's pretty amazing.
Not bad. Yeah.
Then the last 2 I found was a select 21-22 blaster for $20 and a 21-22 Prizm. So that's again Cade rookie year blaster from Prizm. So look, is everything here going to be in your budget? Is everything here going to be what you're interested in? Absolutely not. But have a bit of a troll through it because, they basically just churn through this stock and then refill it back with other stuff too. Yeah. So a bit of interesting.
Yeah, no, that's worth having a bit of a look-see.
Victor versus the field is our next point of conversation, Ad. So
he's been doing very well against the field recently. On the court, jeez.
Look, a lot of these sales are currently unverified. We couldn't find them on Card Ladder, and we couldn't find them on 130 Point. But
it was a very interesting little bit of research, though.
It did take us a minute to find them, but in saying that, I don't think that means we can't talk about this because to me,
this is sort of on 130 Point.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, like I put the description from the first eBay auction you showed me.
Okay, great. Well, that actually makes our conversation even better then. Okay, so the comps I've got, and correct me where I'm wrong here, for a PSA 10 silver, Victor Wembanyama, 2,125. Another one sold for 2,300. Another one for 2,275. So really, in my head, once you're over that $2,000 mark for a silver, you're sort of moving into that rarefied air spot. So
yeah,
I didn't want this narrative to be people are crazy, people are jumping on the ship. I didn't want to go down that way. I honestly think these are all consenting adults. If they want to put their money into this and they're enjoying it and they're having fun, I say more power to them. And it's as simple as that. What I do want to talk about, though, is let's just say you have $2,200. What is the best buy you could do for that $2,200? I know this is a very subjective conversation, but I thought
I thought I'd just go
it's
and look
the
up
right
Kobe's
conversation. If you want to talk about Kobe's for 5-minute ad that you can buy for 2,000, $2,000 US, by the way.
Yep.
Go nuts. Go nuts in the lolly shop, I say.
Yeah, I've just started thinking straight off the bat. I'm like, all right, Kobe rookie cards, and I couldn't get one for 2,000 because there was for 4,400. There's a Topps Chrome rookie PSA 10, but
can you get a lower graded?
Well, I was thinking I could buy 2 Kobe rookies. I could get the Fleer Metal 137 Fresh Foundations rookie PSA 10.
Cool.
For 1,100, and while I'm looking at the 96 metal,
so you've still got some change, right?
Yeah, I'll get a Cyber Metal Kobe Bryant rookie card for 1,300 US. So that's 2,400, but I could buy those PSA 10 Kobe rookies.
That's fine. Because 2,300, 2,400, I think that's close enough for the conversation.
Yeah, I think that's...
What's the pop on those Kobe's at?
Oh, that's a really good question. I actually don't have Card Ladder open. But...
That's okay. No problems.
Goodness, last sold on the PSA 9's not very good. Let's have a look at the PSA 10. Last sold 1,100, pop 140.
Okay.
So that's...
So the reason I asked you about pop is because I think the other part of this conversation is I feel very confident considering that PSA is grading thousands of cards a week, that a lot of these raw Victors are now going to be churned through the PSA machine.
Yep.
And it's not unrealistic to think that the population on a Victor is going to be higher than a Luka or higher than a Jar.
Yeah.
So you try and change my mind why more aren't going to be subbed in this current market. Because if you think about the current draft class as it stands, it seems pretty clear to me that the most liquid person by probably a margin of 70% is Wembanyama.
Yep.
And part of that liquidity is the cards going off to PSA.
Yeah. Yeah, I think PSA 10s are going to be where it's at. I think numbered cards are going to be where it's at for long-term value. Cards. For long-term value. And we're a broken record when it comes to this. Is as far as the pop count, if a card is numbered to 199, the population count on it
it's
is
never
going to
get to 2,000, 3,000. That's right, yeah.
Correct.
So I think where I see collectors getting a little bit undone in that scenario, though, is just the price because even if you can stretch to a 2,000 for a silver to go to 16,000 for the 99, that's a huge jump. So I think that's also, a little bit of the part of the equation. So look, I sort of went in a little bit of a different direction to you because I looked at ultra modern stuff and I thought, considering it's someone's birthday today, being Luka Doncic, so happy birthday, Luka, our modern GOAT. Would you like to wish...
Sorry, I feel a bit sick. Did you say
Would you like to wish
goat?
Luka a happy birthday, Ad?
Yeah. Happy birthday,
Have you got any
Luka.
nice words for Luka?
He's going to get birthday presents equal to the number of championships he's won. I sent him just as many presents, one for each championship.
You could say a nice word, though. It doesn't cost you anything.
I said happy birthday.
Okay, fine.
I don't know if baby goat or modern day goat is quite there. Look, he's lost the same amount of as finals as Jordan. You're right.
Look, I would say he's the GOAT being born in 1999. How about that?
Is that because it's the year of the goat?
That's the year he was born. Is
that like in the Chinese New Year? Is that a year of the goat?
Oh, I don't know about that, man. That's just going too far. Alrighty. So you bought a couple of Kobe's.
Yep.
So a Luka silver PSA 10 at the moment is trading for $1,050. Population is 2,000 though, so I think that's the part. So you could have two Lukas or one Victor. Now the other one is Tatum, and I went in a little bit of a different direction with this one. So I wanted to get something numbered, and it's actually quite difficult to get a PSA 10 that's numbered that's Tatum. So I went for the blue fast break numbered to 175. That last traded for $1,235, which in my head gave me around $700-800 to spare. And then with that, I went and picked up a silver PSA 10. So,
nice.
I mean, you could almost make the argument I could get a Luka silver and the Tatum blue to 175, couldn't you? That's not outrageous, is it? So,
true. Do you know what? Because I can't help myself. I'm now looking up Jason Tatum kabooms.
Talk to me.
Oh no, you could probably pick up 2,000. Oh, what about Kaboom PSA 10? I haven't looked up rookie. I just did Tatum Kaboom PSA 10. Yeah. Anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 kind of is the rough ballpark for PSA 10. So let's go.
Even Luka. If that's not a rookie card, if that's PSA 10, I actually think that's
a buy.
A very long-term shrewd purchase. So a few people have contacted me and sent me some videos about the different potential populations of those cards. It seems the number seems to be around the sort of 60 plus or minus 25 or 30. So let's just say they're in the 60 to 70 mark. You know, we're still never getting up to 2,000.
Quite literally, if you do a search on 130 point, variety of years, Luka Doncic, Kaboom PSA 10, the first 5 entries, 2020 Panini Crown Royale, Doncic Kaboom PSA 10, 2,250. 21-22 Crown Royale Kaboom, Luka Doncic PSA 10, 1,963. 21-22 Crown Royale again, 2,250, 2,000 flat, and 2,500.
So that's actually really interesting when you think about it. So, okay, let's now comp the Kaboom to the silver, right? So essentially the Kaboom is trading at double what the silver is.
Yeah.
So this is like obviously hypothetical. Is there a world where we say Victors are going for 2K and then his Kabooms are then going for 4?
I don't doubt that for a second.
It's actually kind of making my head spin just a little bit.
Oh, that's just priceless anyway.
Anyway, that was a fun topic.
That was a lot of fun.
I think this is something we could put on socials actually and say,
what do you think? Yeah.
Victor versus the field, right? All right.
Yeah, pick your card in the field. Yeah.
I got one for you, Ad. LeBron James, PSA 9, Jambalaya, 8,477 in a BGS 9 versus a Kawhi Leonard NT 1 of 1 Logo Man at 9,000 USD with a BGS 8.5 sticker on it. Which do you prefer?
God, we should be asking. I should have asked more when we had Joe Fu on the show about the jambalayas, the rarity pop count expected. So it's okay. It's the Kawhi's a logo man. 1 of 1. No, I'm going to stick with LeBron. 1 of 1. Yeah, the 1 of 1 is very alluring to me, but I think the LeBron still still get the LeBron for the longer term.
Yeah, this sort of becomes a boring segment because I'm going to go with the LeBron too, just for the fact that it's LeBron and it's a jambalaya. The only thing I will add to this is we've spoken a fair bit about why isn't Kawhi Leonard going for more money. I think that's a really healthy $9,000. That's him in a Clippers uniform too.
Yeah.
So we're not even talking about him being in a Spurs uniform or, championship year in the Raptors. Like he's barely played, so.
He played today and LeBron
He's
took
playing
over in the fourth and won the game. I think
if you look at his Clippers career, I don't think it's fair to say, he's been consistently out on the floor. Do you know? So I think that's where I'm going with that comment.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, I was just rubbing it into all the Clippers listeners that LeBron dropped 19 in the last quarter to turn around a 21-point deficit and beat the Clippers.
Would you like to froth over LeBron for a minute? I'll allow it.
That's all right. This was my froth. This was my my LeBron moment.
Okay.
He beat Kawhi. I thought that was very well timed of you.
Look, I'm happy that you won a regular season game, man. That's all I can say.
Look, it's a highlight since we won the in-season tournament, which we've had a bit of a hangover from. Oh God, LeBron. He's one or two games away from eclipsing 40,000 points, I reckon.
Yep.
That's a milestone. That might be next week. We'll talk about LeBron passing 40K.
Yeah, absolutely. Chuck it in the run sheet, man. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Alrighty, the next 4 things are all WNBA related. These are all going to be very quick hitting, everyone, so don't stress too much. April the 15th is the WNBA draft, so you might see a little bit more social media, WNBA stuff, prospects coming through, all that type of thing. So that should be exciting. Check out for that. Now, Instagram. I like to do this because sometimes I just like people just putting up cool cards, and they don't even have to be Jordan exquisites or LeBron autographs. They can be just Prizm base cards, So this is someone else to follow too. Paulie T Cards, spelled PAULYTCARDS. He put up a Maya Moore gold number to 10. Beautiful card. Thanks for sharing that, Paulie. Yeah, I love that type of stuff. So the other thing I just wanted to really quickly go through too is there's more and more blank slates, WNBA blank slates coming to the secondary market. So part of it is to do with the timing of the release. Like it's been out for a few months now. I also suspect a lot of these cards haven't been sent super express. So, it's been a couple of months now and they're coming out. So WNBA doesn't have a lot of product. It's basically got Revolution, Prizm, and now it's got Origins. And Origins is essentially, I'm using air quotes now, their high-end product. So it has patches, it has patch autographs. It's got those sort of napkin patch type cards too, but the case hits are blank slates and they're very nice. PSA 9 Brianna Stewart sold for $71 US. I was bidding on that. I should have put in a few extra dollars on that. But the one that really, to be honest, I got cold feet on because it just went a little bit higher than what I was expecting. The Sue Bird blank slate PSA 10 that sold for $171 USD. So
whoa,
we've sort of been talking about this last couple of weeks. I think there's a bit of interest coming into WNBA. There's a bit more people jumping on board, and I'd probably say that's 2 healthy sales of case hits. Like they're really nice cards. Right, we did talk about this young man earlier on in the show, but I think we should talk about him a second time. Tyrese Halliburton, Contenders Optic, 1 of 1 gold vinyl, sold for $20,740. And I think this is a really good comparison because really we're contrasting 2 drastically different styles. One person coming out with all the hype and the power in the world, and the other guy coming out with essentially out of a small Iowa school college, coming onto the league, being behind De'Aaron Fox, but with more skill than probably maybe bar 3 guys in the league. I think he's one of the most skilled guys in the league is where I'm going with this. So yeah, Zion Williamson, immaculate, 1 of 1, patch autograph from his rookie year, PSA 8.5, autograph 10, $18,300. I just get the feeling that would have sold for $200,000 in the peak of COVID.
Yeah.
There was buzz at one point, some of the Zion stuff was going to go to $1 million.
True. I'm I'd probably take the Zion.
It's really hard, isn't it?
I'll take the Zion.
I think that card's got the most upside.
Like, I don't see a 1-of-1 auto, rookie auto, but it is from contenders versus an iMac card that's a 1-of-1, like, it's
With a very
RPA.
nice patch. Yeah.
Like, the upside of that Zion is way higher.
I actually think that more represents how the market feels about Zion at the moment. I think a lot of that sort of outsiders coming into the hobby, betting on him because he's the sure thing. I think all of that market is gone.
Yeah.
I think a lot of those people that did come in for that sort of quick flip, they've sold them off. They've lost their money. They've moved on.
Probably not what I'm spending $20K on, though.
Well, see, I actually think that almost now fits into... Really, I think Zion now is moving into more of a PC guy than a quick flip.
This is a message.
The quick flip is not there. I can check his age right now.
But do you not like it's...
So Pokachevsky's 22. I would say Zion is 23. 23.
Yep. So Zion's 23. How long is his career going to be? Do you know what I mean? If he sorts his health out, he could be like an absolute powerhouse.
I actually think that he's been pretty good this year. And that is actually, for me, the irony about all of his prices is that now he's actually putting up consistent minutes,
22,
consistent
5
games.
and 5 this year.
Pretty good spread. His team is relatively successful.
They're in the playoffs.
Yeah, but his card prices are still going down. That's for me the part that I struggle with.
I feel like it's a slower burn for people.
Yeah.
People aren't jumping back on board because of half a season of good play from Zion.
Yeah.
They will need to see a lot. What I'm saying is his output at the moment is showing a lot different to his market confidence. And I think if it persists and he keeps playing well, this could be a turning point.
All right, I got a question for you.
Yep.
So you're a general manager and you are an expansion league. You're LeBron
on the
James,
Vegas team.
LeBron James has appointed you as the general manager.
As he
and
should.
For some reason, you have the number one pick and the Pacers didn't protect Halliburton and the Pelicans didn't protect Zion. Who would you choose to lead your franchise forward?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It's so fun, right?
Knowing what we know about their development.
Knowing what we know right today. So the draft is today.
The draft is today.
It's today. You have to make a decision.
I can just yank a player out of their
You've
roster.
got 15 seconds to make the decision.
I'll take Zion.
What? Oh my God. I asked you that question to support my own narrative here, but that completely backfired. So I would go for Halliburton. I think he's the safer bet in that space.
Yeah, but I'm gambling. I'm taking the Vegas team, baby.
And actually, and that's why I'm going to go with the Halliburton card. I think that's overs. I actually think that's maybe say that was 16,000. I think that's a different conversation altogether, but it is 20. So I think that's overs. But at the same time, yeah, I just do wonder that Halliburton is maybe going to be a bit steadier, whereas Zion is going to be full of fluctuations, full of, downward trends.
I like Halliburton, but I think he's overs at the moment.
Okay, look,
he's in his hype. Everybody is on board with these crazy record numbers. I don't know. I feel like Zion. We've seen after a few years what Zion is capable of when he's healthy.
Maybe. So now that Halliburton part about you paying overs, I agree with that to a degree. Because remember last week how we comped that Nash to the relatively similar numbered Halliburton card?
Yep.
And that actually, because if you had said that to me last week before we comped that, I would have said, yeah, 100%, Halliburton is over, stay away. But then when you almost do like for
Nash.
like, actually, it's not horrible.
I think Halliburton's at overs at the moment and Zion's at unders.
Yeah.
And everybody is buyer beware mode with Zion. So he's staying unders. So even when he probably shouldn't be, you can pick him up cheaper. But
to be fair to people, and even I'll put myself into this bucket too, I actually feel like Zion is pretty too much risk for me.
Everyone's been burnt by this guy.
Yeah. And probably that's why I'm going for Halliburton. Because I look at this kid and I'm like, this guy's stable as anything.
Can I make one observation?
Go.
Because the Zion Prizm rookie has a population of 640,000.
Yeah.
This is a one of one at least.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think the one of one status of this makes it a less risky Zion.
Yeah.
It's not the Oprah Winfrey throw in Zion that everybody gets when they buy a repack that's got a Prizm card in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our next item is from @BreakerCulture. eBay reseller tip of the day. If you have a best offer on your items and you get an offer, don't just cancel if you don't like the offer. Counter the offer every time. It amazes me how many sellers just decline. It's a huge turnoff to buyers. I agree with that. It's kind of fun to negotiate and go back and forth a little bit.
So is this like if it's legitimately close?
I suspect he means when people lowball you by $50. I think he's just saying, keep coming back.
Keep them engaged, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You're keeping a buyer on the line. You're not just cutting bait. There are, I guess, people with the way they manage their eBay, they could be time poor, and that's why they're not responding. But I think you're right. If you've got the time to do it, be fun. Engage with someone that's maybe legitimately trying to buy your card.
This next piece of content is actually, I would say, organic. You can't comp this. And this is from Anthony Milne, who is a long-time listener and contributor. So,
and
Anthony, thank you.
Currently in the chat and agreed with me about Zion.
Okay, well, Anthony can't respond to his own post. That's worse than my echo chamber about Herb Jones. Evening Legends and Bench Warmers. I think he means warmers, but that's wormers. It could be either. What's everyone's thoughts on the hobby right now? For the past year or so, there's been increasing concern, specifically in groups with scammers, ghost buyers, lowball, commandos, and window shoppers. Just want to know everyone's best and worst experiences in the hobby. Best buy, chase future investment on a player, or is comp prices controlled and regulated by these app markets? Adam, I'll put this to you.
I think the hobby's in a healthy place. I think we've lost we haven't completely lost them. The sports cards investors are still there and abouts, but I think we're in a period where we've got a lot of people that are excited about the hobby side of things, that are going back to collecting sets, that are focusing on their PC, cards are more acquirable again. And I think, we did see it a little bit with Prizm recently with the blasters that were released. A little bit of the old, I don't know how many people are going to have PTSD from this, but the old, EB games have their product goes on sale and the bots buy everything, and then people are selling product that's $60 a packet for $400 each, or trying to get their money. Like there's people trying to flip, but it's not as crazy as it was.
Yes and no. I think that is true, but I actually got Prizm blasters off eBay cheaper than I could have bought them from a retail shop in America.
That's pretty crazy. That's good.
So,
yeah.
Yes, I do agree with you. People are playing the flip game, but not always winning. So I think that's the other thing too. It's the equation has changed a little bit in that space. Like it's not just the person at the other end paying 6 times what dudes were queuing up down at Target for, right? So look, I think somewhat Anthony's question is a little bit leading, because I feel like overall he has concerns about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the comments below people are talking about razzes. So I'm just going to address like a couple of things in one sentence here. I think you do have to have a degree of trust into when you run into a razz, because if the person that you don't know and you don't trust, essentially you're giving them, let's just say it's $2,000.
Yeah.
And there's no real strong way that you can enforce that person to post the card out. So I would say, honestly, and I would say this is the same as sales. If you don't feel like you trust somebody, you can always go somewhere else, to buy something.
Yeah.
If you're not enjoying going to razzes, give them a break for a bit and do something else. Like I think for me, that's the real thing that I've probably enjoyed the most. Like I've been doing the hobby differently. So I'll go into breaks for a bit, then I'm not enjoying that so much. Then I'll go out and start filling out my singles and my sets. The other thing that people seem to be doing a lot more at the moment is trading. So I've never been a massive trader, but the last couple of EJ trades days, I've traded cards at both times. And I've actually really enjoyed that. I will agree it's difficult to trade. So it's not the the most simplest thing to do, but
yeah,
just mix. What I'm trying to say here is mix it up a bit. In terms of protecting yourself against people ripping you off, just do PayPal, pay the 3%, and then if
really
something
good
does
advice.
happen, you just charge it back. And I really think, I don't want to sound difficult here, but again, if someone's insisting on Pay ID, just don't buy the card. If the deal is too good to be true, it's very possible that it is
That it
too good to be
is.
true.
Yeah, for sure.
So the next thing that Anthony talks about here is investments and future investments. Look, I think Herb Jones, I'm going to stick with that for tonight. I think
That's it. You're a
Pokachevsky's
Herb Jones. Yeah, that's
is
it.
fun at the moment. I've spoken about WNBA. I'm still very low key high on that. So that's probably the three things at the moment. We got Luke Williams in here. Look, he talks about Razzers a little bit there, and that's fine. I get that. Matthew Hull, I think this one's probably worth reading. Do you want to read through this one out?
Matthew Hull, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the hobby's okay. I don't say that with a warm touch. I say that with a pursed lip and one raised the rock eyebrow. Personally, I can't stand the reliance on comps as the buyer's bargaining tool, especially from experienced buyers. Everyone knows comps are a market of purported value, and like stocks gain value and traction on performance and demand. If you aren't willing to pay comps or over comps, don't start negotiating. If you're selling at 6 times comps, then get a grip. Experienced hobbyists could be better at reporting on advice they could give people. For example, if you see a punter out there selling something super undervalued, give them a message and share the story with everyone's permission. Regulation has its ups and downs. Regulation is supposed to bring about safety and standard. I'm not opposed to this hobby. However, graders can't agree on a standard a standard that auction houses can't agree on.
Well, that was written before PSA
just
essentially got 100% monopoly. So you have to slightly edit that comment, Matty. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, it's true. However, graders can't agree on a standard. Auction houses can't agree on a standard. And the biggest card show in the world is being attacked on all fronts due to its declining standard for collectors. An advisory group that is organized by one standing hobby body and includes international members as well as graders, auctioneers, and influencers would be ideal in at least creating a common ground for what the hobby, which now leveling out economically, will push a hobby in an upwards direction. That's my 2 cents. Also, everyone stop buying Tatum so I can buy them.
So, Adam, I got to ask you, do you have any Regulate the Hobby t-shirts on you? We need to send one out to Matty Hull.
I might have one. I'll
Maddie, what's your size? If we've got one on hand, we'll send it out to you. Otherwise, we'll sort one out and get it out.
I feel like out. Yeah.
You two are kindred spirits. Actually, that's why I asked you to read that one, because he was talking about regulation in there.
I knew he was gonna. You were gonna say that.
Oh, come on! You've got a t-shirt. You can't deny this, man. You've got a t-shirt that says "Regulate the Hobby." That's like your mantra. Yeah,
it is. I'm very well renowned for this thought, and you're right. It's finding consistency across the board. Interesting space this hobby's in. Do you want to read one or summarize another one?
So I think the last one's Sunny. I probably think we could just summarize this one. He also talks about the highs and lows of the hobby, but I think this is the thing I want to talk about here. Otherwise, we keep our PC as long as we want. Coming home, seeing my PC after work makes it all worth it. And look, I think that's actually a really, dare I say, beautiful line. It's just well said, Sonny. So yeah, it's true. And we need to look at our PCs more.
Yeah. And appreciate that this is a hobby. You know what I mean? Like this is, the reasons we collect it isn't because not everybody's trying to be overnight millionaires. Buying Zions for 18,000 and flipping them for 85,000 once he wins it. No, I'm not even going to start. No, I'm not going to buy that one of one.
Alrighty, our next piece is an advertisement for our sponsor, the Bangman or Amir. He's just launched his March preview, his bronze edition. If you're looking for the links, go to You Can't Comp This Facebook page. It's in the feed. You'll find it there. There's a link to Amir's group. The bronze has got 1617 Prestige, 1920 Optic Retail, 2122 Illusions Blaster pack. These are all packets. 2122 Contenders Fanatics Blaster Pack, 21-22 Prizm Sallow Pack, 21-22 Donruss Mega, 21-22 Select Blaster, 22-23 Select T-Ball, 23-24 Hoops Winter. The price on that, including delivery, is $119.
That's very impressive.
Seems like a bit of fun, actually.
Seems like a lot of fun. Who wants to have a nice little rip party? You know what I mean?
It.
Like,
yep, Friday night.
yeah,
Divvy that up between 3 of your mates. Actually, that's like very doable, isn't it?
yeah. That's get in, crack some packs.
Yep.
That seems like a lot of fun. That's a really good deal.
This is also some organic You Can't Comp This content. This is from George. So George, we spoke about the last couple of weeks with his amazing Patrick Ewing collection and his private autograph signings. This is a BGS 10 Giannis Hoops rookie card, which is also the red back. Pop 1. What is a sensible price on this card, Adam?
Hang on. Where are we? Looking. Pop 1.
This is actually really tough, by the way. So don't be too like...
I want card ladder time.
This is a perfect time to use card ladder because you can sort of get a bit of a gauge on... And this actually, for me, makes it pretty easy. PSA 10 of the exact same card, but without the red back, sold for $269 USD. So let's just say you put a premium onto this, and the premium is 30%.
Okay.
John O'Michaels would know that off the top of his head, but I had to use a calculator. That takes it to $349 USD.
Yeah.
I feel pretty happy with that. What do you reckon?
I've got no I don't think you're wrong. It's a red border, not the red back. I'm getting a lot of red border stuff on card ladder, not the red back.
Actually, I got to say, before we move on from this, my final thought on this is not something to sell. I think this is a hold. Particularly if something's pop 1.
Yeah, well, the PSA 10 of the normal one is pop 2600. So a pop 1 is pretty impressive.
Being the red back, that kind of makes sense, but I just don't think that really Giannis is something you want to be flipping willy-nilly at the moment, particularly if it is that low pop.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep.
Agreed.
Alrighty, this next one I actually found off NBA Basketball Cards Australia trade, buy, sell, and draws. And this was just a very innocuous question. What is the difference in these boxes? One sells for double of the other. And the question is, what is the difference between Prizm and first off the line Prizm? Which I think is a really good question, by the way. And this is the type of stuff I think is really fun to talk about.
Sure.
Basically, in a nutshell, you get an extra card.
Mm-hmm.
You aren't guaranteed anything in particular, but you can get a blue shimmer to 35, a gold shimmer to 10, a green shimmer to 5, or the black shimmer to 1 of 1. If you're looking for the Victor 1 of 1 out of photo, don't buy any more boxes. It's already been ripped out.
It is gone.
While I was looking through the checklist to find that information out, I then went down a little bit of a rabbit hole. Did you know there is 64 total parallels this year out of Prizm, which includes all the retail, so, blasters, fat packs, yada, yada, lucky envelopes, choice, first off the line, hobby, fast break. It goes on and on. So when you say it like that, 64 doesn't seem that much, does it? But
when you start adding up how many different counts there too, and
yeah,
very interesting. So what's the uniqueness of cards? What are we looking at? Like I'm trying to find out what the numbered pop count is.
Can you ask me that in a different way? What do you mean?
Okay, so if we add all of the numbered cards together, so the number to 10 and the number to 199 means there's a total pop there of 209.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah, so we add all the pop counts of all the numbered cards. What is the overall numbered card pop count? I'm not asking you on the spot right now.
I was going to say,
would be super impressive if you could answer that on the spot.
I'm not John O'Michaels, right? Yeah. So I've got no idea to that. I could probably sit there with a calculator or a spreadsheet and work it out, but it'd be something hideous, man. I mean, come on, and that doesn't
low numbers, right? They're low numbers. It's not.
Yeah, but that doesn't factor in the unnumbered stuff too. I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm trying to quantify how rare the numbered stuff is, because I think there's a lot of parallels which dilutes the pool for the silvers.
Oh, definitely.
But I think the numbered stuff still holds some weight.
Yeah.
Is my my thought there anyway.
I did actually write down a couple of ones that I thought were worthy of talking about. I'm not going to read through every single parallel. You guys can find the checklist easy and go through it, but there's a couple I did want to mention too. So the black gold number to 5.
I saw a Wemby of that. Haven't one of those already been pulled?
Yeah, there's a white and a snakeskin in this year's hobby. Now, the snakeskins, I have no idea the rarity of these. They're unnumbered, so it's a little bit tricky to say, but I've been bidding on a couple of low-end rookie snakeskins, and they look fantastic. So they have been in Prizm draft for a little bit, which is that college product that we've talked about a couple of times. I'm really glad that's come across. That's cool. Out of choice, blue, yellow, green, the tiger stripe, red to 88, blue to 49, and cherry blossom to 20, which I think, I don't mind when they do these sort of headline sort of grabbing parallels. And I would say this because does that appeal to children more? Does that appeal to, dare I say it, girls a bit more? Like, is that a good to sort of try and target different groups within the hobby? I think the answer is yes. I'm totally fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really about it. I didn't want to, go through them all, but that was the ones that sort of caught my eye a little bit.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I'm curious to know, I'm hoping someone will do the research for us and let us know.
There's no reason you can't do it tonight, Dad. Just sit there with a calculator.
I'll sit there with a calculator, go through the checklists.
Yeah, you should do that. I mean, you got nothing to do. I
have nothing else to do. It's fine. Yeah. I'll start finding all the variations. This is what I get for making comments.
That's right. It serves you right, mate. Yeah.
I was waiting. Jono should have been in the chat and just bang straight away.
I feel like we might have just mucked up his week actually, because usually it's Sunday night he's in with us.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
Final thoughts, Ad?
Final thoughts. I still put a lot of weight in numbered Prizm cards.
Yeah, fair.
And I would take that Zion.
Herb Jones. That's my final thought for the evening. Thanks,
fair.
Everyone.
Thanks, guys. We'll Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.